hey, I saw your play. What was that?
Yeah.
Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for signing in on the sheet and tuning into this episode of Call Time a Theater Pod. My name is Marisa Helene Mast, and this is a space where we can talk about it all because every role in theater matters. It is time for another marquee moment where we turn our spotlight on a show, project, or artist that deserves to be on your radar. So take your seats, sip your very overpriced intermission drink in that adorable little sippy cup, and I'm going to give my guests, the wonderful team behind the brand new musical Beyond Perfection, their marquee moment. Hey y'all, how you doing?
Great.
Hey.
Good.
Awesome. Hi, I am Kenady Sean, and I am the writer/producer on this piece called Beyond Perfection.
I'm Kaylee Killingsworth. I am also a co-writer, book and lyrics for Beyond Perfection.
I'm Emily Horton. I'm a co-writer and composer for Beyond Perfection as well. Excited to be here.
And my name is Dorea Slagle, and I'm the director. And I'm very excited to be on this project with this team.
Hell yeah, we love this kind of I love the energy y'all are giving off already, and I'm very, very happy to have you here and to get to know each other a little bit more. I have a question for each of you. So in my heart of hearts, I truly believe that there is good theater cringe and bad theater cringe, and I would love to know what each of you would put in those categories.
So I thought long and hard about this. And as far as my good theater cringe, I would like to insert Bye Bye Birdie, because I really love that musical, but the opening title sequence of the movie is very cringy with the nasal, bye bye birdie, but it is a hilarious show, and I wish people would do it more. So that's my good theater cringe.
Beautiful.
My bad theater cringe is we were in on campus. They had done Phantom of the Opera in college, and they wanted to do these moments in the gym. So like all of these people were there that are not musical theater people, and there's a camera that's like zoomed in, and so they're singing the love song, gorgeous ballad, and they kiss, and it zooms really in, and when they pull apart, spit was seen on camera very visibly.
Was it Jonathan Groff?
No, it wasn't that good. The singing was really good, but then afterwards we were like, I can't ever unsee this awkward kiss moment. So that was definitely the worst bad theater cringe moment.
I'm going to be thinking about that for a really long time.
I think my good theater cringe moment would be whenever you go see like a kid's production and maybe it's their very first show, and some of them might be timid, but a lot of them are into it, and especially the people on the front row are like so excited. Like that to me is like a great, not even cringy, I feel like it's a good theater moment. But as far as bad, if you have that one kid that is into theater all the time, and then in the middle of school they'll start singing a musical theater song, and it's like, okay, I didn't know this was going to be happening, but that was what came to mind for me.
Emily, that was me growing up, so I'm sorry.
That was also me, so I don't know what you're trying to say. We own this. That's the whole part of it, is like we own this cringe. It's a badge of honor.
Okay, good theater cringe. I mean, I work in children's theater, so I'm gonna have to say, like, off-key singing when it's kids and it's full send. Yes, I'm cringing, but I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time. Bad theater cringe, the weird experimental stuff you do in college that no one should see, but they invite an audience anyway. I was in a piece. It was a really cool piece. It was devised by an African theater company about Ebola. It was really cool. I was not in that African theater company, but I joined the class to learn from the teacher, and it was a really cool experience. We learned all sorts of different cultural, theater-y things. However, I don't think people should have seen us, performing this, trying to speak in African tongues, and wearing hazmat suits and there were, the ending was, he wanted us to reflect on our cultural experience. And so the ending of the show was we put on these hazmat suits and we all did it in unison, slow motion. We all stand up, pull down our goggles, walk forward, and you hear camera flashes, and we're all just walking slow motion, and then the camera flashes turn into gunshots, and we're all like, and we all die. And then he had us all stand up one by one and be like, I appreciated this part of the workshop. All of my friends from college saw me do that. And then he had us show our warm-ups, one of which involved writing words with our butts in the air, which I did in front of all my friends as well. So, amazing theater experience. No one should have seen it. No one should have seen
I have
it.
so many questions that we don't have time for.
We can talk about it later.
Oh, yeah.
I had so much fun that week in that workshop, and then I regretted inviting anyone to see me do any of it. So, but it was really fun.
That's incredible.
College
Theater is like, you have your artiste moment. Mm-hmm. You have your artiste time, and that is definitely under that umbrella too. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for listening.
Of course, we hold space.
So another example for me of like good theater cringe is when you go to like a community theater production and there are these individuals who maybe are retired or have been in the community a long time, and they like love the space and they care so much about the theater, and then they do something like The Importance of Being Earnest with Brooklyn accents. And so I find that kind of community theater hysterical when you have these like New York natives doing like shows and trying to be British, but instead you're hearing like, but I need to have some coffee. And then you're like, isn't this supposed to be 1800s England? Like, what's happening? That's good cringe for me. It always makes me laugh. I always enjoy it. Bad theater cringe. Honestly, the first thing that came to my mind, I'm not going to say where, in the South, I saw a production of West Side Story with a blonde white Maria. And I was mortified. I literally didn't even know how to sit in the audience. So yeah, I find that I think it's getting a lot better, but I find that sometimes there's community theaters or schools maybe with limited resources or limited people, and then they miss the point entirely and they still try to do a show that they shouldn't do. And that's bad theater cringe to me.
All incredibly wonderful examples of good and bad theater cringe. Thank you all for sharing that. I love this shared experience. Amazing. So, to get to the reason for the season, the reason why we're here today is we're going to be talking about Beyond Perfection. And I want to know everything about this. And I guess the place to start would be, what is Beyond Perfection?
So, Beyond Perfection is a sci-fi dystopian musical. It's an original story based on real science and things from our world, but in a fiction way, And it follows a dystopian New York City that has some biotech lenses that make your world VR perfect, augmented reality perfect exactly as you want. The algorithm builds it. And Ryan, our hero, is promised this perfect life. He gets a perfect wife, he gets everything that he asked for, and soon realizes and starts to freak out. Like, I don't think I actually earned any of this, or is it really real? And he stumbles into Central Park, which has become a rebel holdout against the technology, and he decides to join the rebellion, the anti-tech rebellion, and hijinks ensue.
Fantastic. I'm intrigued.
Yes.
Oh gosh, that's a great hook. All right, awesome. So with all of that being said, when did the spark first happen for a really interesting and intriguing piece like this?
So I love dystopian novels. I just enjoy reading the world in which these authors come up with and thinking, okay, this was a utopia, and then how did it become a dystopia? When I decided to write a musical, I thought, I should write a dystopian musical. That would be such a great idea. And I was actually in New York at the time, and I was sitting in Central Park, which is one of my favorite places in the world, and I was looking at the city and just the contrast between the city and the park, which is why I love it. And I thought, what if we use this dichotomy to kind of explain a dystopian world? I was also intrigued by this hyper reality that we have, and that this unattainable supermodels, like we all want this hyper reality, but then we realize, oh, that's not really what it's cracked up to be, or the grass is always greener than on the other side. We always want what's hyper real, but it's not ever really real. And so this concept started forming and building into what is now Beyond Perfection. And I was in school at the time at Dallas Baptist University with Emily, and I reached out to my classmates and said, let's write some songs, because I thought, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he took like 8 years, like I'm gonna do it in like 2, because why not?
Why not?
Why not? It is now like 8 years later, so but I thought I could do this faster if I brought on friends.
Yeah, so I think I still remember the day or the text conversation where Kenny was like, hey, do you want to come over and write a song? And so I remember going over to her apartment, sitting at her keyboard, working on Breaking Up with Broadway, which is still in the musical 8 years later.
Yeah. Choreographed it today.
Oh, wow.
Woo!
Fantastic.
Yes. Yes. So working on that, and then collaborating with other people on bringing the music aspect of it to life, and then got to play piano for the first read through of it, which was right after senior year ended. And yeah, seven years later, here we are, and we're in New York, and it's crazy.
Dorea, I'm curious though, as director, what attracted you to the project overall?
Well, I can count on one hand the number of times a dystopian musical has crossed my desk. So I found it very intriguing and ambitious, and I am a tad ambitious. So I resonated with that when I read it. I resonated with Kenady when Kenady and I first spoke. But I think we're at a really pivotal point as a society right now. Completely exploded in terms of how much distraction and access is available to us. If we even were to rewind, I'm dating myself a little bit, but to my high school years, I didn't even have an iPhone, right? And so the 15-ish years of our history as a civilization has catapulted us into a new regime of being able to constantly be entertained or distracted. And I think that's really dangerous. I think it strips our cognitive ability to connect with other people. I think it strips us of empathy. I think it gives everyone power to say whatever they think all the time without considering the impact of that. And so when I read the script, the thing that really stood out to me was, oh, this is futuristic, but I can already see how it's relevant now. And I really am passionate about telling stories that have a lot of fun and entertainment in them, but have a purpose and kind of force the audience to hold a mirror up to themselves and say, am I doing this? Am I part of this problem? So that's, in a nutshell, kind of what first really piqued my excitement when I read the script.
That's fantastic. I think that's the best part about new work, is that the minute it hooks you, you're you're attached at the hip, and it becomes a part of you, and you want to be able to tell a story that not only, is just a really cool story to tell, but it really means something to you, and you want to be able to let people see what you see and feel what you feel. Mm-hmm. And I love that. And so, we were talking very briefly before we started recording about how you just came from rehearsal. You've been in rehearsal all week with the show coming up, and thinking about how this is 7-8 years down the road in the process. What kept you all motivated to keep going?
That's a great question. In 2019, show started with 2020. Like, I'm not kidding. It started with 2020. And so people are like, stop writing this because it's coming true and we don't like that. That was kind of motivation, was like, oh, okay, like we got something here, something's right. And so that kind of fueled the fire to keep going and invite Kaylee on. But then we had a stage reading by musicalwriters.com, shout out to them, in 2021. And then in 2022, we had another workshop. We flew down a New York director and we were workshopping it and everything. And it went really well. We filled we were in a brewery. We weren't in a traditional theater.
I love fountain spaces. We love that.
We filled that place and people laughed and got it. And then from 2022 till now, we were really struggling with it. We had sent it to a dramaturg that is well regarded, and they just ripped it apart. And so we thought, was it not the right time anymore? Is this just, we had our day in 2022 and we just need to quit? And we did a table reading, also shout out to musicalwriters.com for setting that up, last year in the fall, and got some encouraging feedback, but still it's like, what's missing? Because when people see it, they get it, but when they're reading it, sometimes just not people's cup of tea. And so I almost was like, maybe it's just over and we just need to move on. And the Broadway Bound Theater Festival posted, and I actually submitted it on the very last day at the very last minute.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's so interesting.
Wow.
And I thought, well, you know what? What do I have to lose? They're going to give us feedback, and that's really what I need. And so I submitted it, got feedback, got in, and I thought, oh my goodness. And it's just an encouragement to go, don't give up. And also, everybody has a different opinion. Theater's so subjective. And so, if I wouldn't have knocked on those doors, if I wouldn't have kept submitting, then this wouldn't have been happening. It was a long journey, a long, long journey.
And a journey well walked, honestly, because I haven't even seen the show yet, and I'm already emotional, and I really just want to say I'm so proud of all of you for getting to this point. That is absolutely incredible. I am a huge fan, but I'm a huge fan of artists who really just push. This is obviously something you were very passionate about, Kenady, when you first put this together, because of something that is, it's a niche thing, but it's not so niche because there are a lot of things in that category, but this is niche because it came from you, and to put something out that is uniquely you over such a long period of time and still have it be that authentic piece that shines through from start to finish, that is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Y'all should be I'm sure you are very proud, but live for that moment. So with that all being said, because I know obviously the audience is going to think many, many things about the show, but I want to hear from each of you. What do you believe makes this show special? What makes Beyond Perfection special?
I think if you've ever touched the internet or a smartphone, you'll connect with something in it. And maybe if you've never touched it and you're afraid of it, you still will probably connect with something. I think it's about being human in a increasingly inhuman world and artificial world.
The message is universal of we all long for perfection. At least I do as a perfectionist. I want that, but then I think there's a universal idea of when we get that, it's never enough. And then you can also turn into yourself and you can always be like, oh, I was too much, or, oh, I'm not enough. And we're constantly oscillating between those two. And then you get there and you're like, oh, wait, I'm not enough again. And so that wrestle that's very human, I think this is what that's touching on, that I always long for perfection, but if I go beyond perfection, that's where the creativity is found. That's where true life is found, because if everything was good and perfect, you wouldn't see it as such. You have to have felt the pain before you see the joy. That's the message that I've been so passionate about telling through all of the bumpy roads.
I think having been part of this for the 8 years that we've been on this road, I think this is a project of love. It has been, I think, a labor of love, and I think you can hear that and see that, like, whenever you come to the show. In getting to be part of so many readings and moments where the songs have been performed, it's like you can see the audience connecting with what's being sung. And so I think that is really cool to see. In terms of story, I feel like it has evolved so much over the years that I think it can truly stand on its own feet and be unique compared to all the other stories on Broadway right now. Like, I can't think of anything that would be the same as Beyond Perfection, story-wise.
Completely echo what Emily said about a labor of love. I just joined the project at the end of May, so I'm still very, very new in the grand scheme of things, right, to this world and this story and these characters. So it's part of my job has been to make sense of them and understand them because they're new for my brain, right, and my heart. I actually really resonate with Kate, which is ironic, which is a character in the show who, I don't want to spoil too much, but basically fully embraces the concept of perfection at the beginning, at least. And is really bought in on the idea. And the reason I resonate with that is because, similar to what Kenady said, we all long for perfection, but I think even really beyond that, I think we all long for peace and for a home. And I think we all really, in our souls, really long for this idea of just being known and accepted and everything working. Like, sometimes day-to-day life feels like you're shoveling out 3 piles of dirt, right? And then someone's putting 4 back in. And so there's like an ease that perfection promises in the show. So what I think the audience is going to experience when they watch this is, well, of course those characters want those things, because that would be a relief. And then I think where we get to surprise them a little bit is, it would be a relief, but would it be in existence? I do think it's an incredibly unique piece. There's bits of inspiration from other things, of course, because all art is that. But in terms of the scope and the overarching story, it's something I had never read before, and I haven't seen anything like it on stage.
See, this is just pumping me up so much because this show sounds freaking awesome, and I love the passion that all of you have put into this. And I mean, obviously, as an audience member, I get very hyped. And when I leave a show like this, I end up being a combination of, like, hype and then in my feels. So I would love to know, how do you think the audience will feel when they leave?
My little catchphrase that I've been latching on to for this story is, it's super funny until it's not funny anymore.
This is kind of funny to say, but I really mean this. I hope the audience leaves going, what did I just watch? Because it should kind of be that. I think sometimes we think that's a bad thing, but it's not.
It's not.
Because if you want a show to resonate and stand out and move forward, it should get people talking afterward. You should go, what was that? That was so much. I really hope people leave pondering and, like, replaying things and thinking back, like, wow, like, that scene was really interesting, or wow, why did they do that? I wonder why they made that choice. Like, because I think that creates conversation, and that's what art is supposed to do.
Yes. All of that, yes. It immediately brings me to one of my favorite moments in Tootsie, the film, where Bill Murray is sitting at the table talking about his play. He's like, I just want people to approach me 1 week after my play and go, hey, I saw your play. What was that?
Yeah,
it's
I actually forgot about that, but that is not a Dorea original. It's Bill Murray.
No, it's that concept. I love that. I personally love that as an artist because it means that they've been thinking about it, and I'm looking forward to audiences doing this for y'all too.
There's a book that Kaylee has read. I just use it because Kaylee's given me the information from it. But it's about, like, are we just amusing ourselves to death? That's, like, the concept of the book.
Yes, I
Great
know this
book.
Have you
book.
read that?
Yes, I actually.
It's a really good book.
Oh my god, it's so
Yes.
good.
In that, it's kind of, there's a little bit of meta in that because it is a big Broadway numbers and fun things that theater nerds and people who just like to be entertained and laugh and enjoy will enjoy that. And so the meta dichotomy here is, while we're sitting there being really entertained, we're asking the question, are we just like amusing ourselves to death?
And I would just echo kind of what Dorea was saying. Like, I want people to leave changed from seeing this show. I want them to leave changed, but also energized because they saw a really good show and like walked away with like a really cool, meaningful experience.
When's the show? Where is the show? Tell us the who, what, when, where, why, so we can all buy our tickets immediately.
But the show is at AMT Theater, August 14th through 17th, 4 shows only. Tickets are on BroadwayBoundFest.com. You go to that website, and our show starts with a B, so we're right at the top, and you just click buy tickets. And that's how you get them. Pretty easy.
Fan-freaking-tastic, and where can people find more information on the show in general?
Check us out on Instagram at BeyondPerfection_musical or at TikTok, which is at Beyond Perfection Musical.
Fantastic. I follow both, so y'all should too. It's so weird. Time is such a social construct. I can't believe we're already coming to the end of Marquee Moment, but I just want to thank all of you so much for your time and being here and telling me about this fantastic show, which I am definitely getting my tickets for immediately, and I can't wait to go. Good job, y'all.
Thank you.
You're doing great. You're really living, breathing, thriving, surviving, creating something special. And I hope that you live in each of those moments and remember those very fondly. And you should be very proud of yourselves for what you're creating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. You got yourself such a brand new fangirl. So excited to share everything about this. All the information is going to be in the description box below. I want to thank all of you for tuning into this mini-sode of Call Time at Theater Pod, our marquee moment with Beyond Perfection, the musical. My name is Marisa Helene Mast. You're the audience. Bye-bye now.